Apple is reportedly rumored to be working on their M2 chips already. Plus, could we finally be hearing about a possible release date for the RTX 3080 Ti? All of that and more on the Tech Summit Podcast, episode 46. I'm
I
Chris.
am Francisco. And if
And
you are currently watching on YouTube, I'll take this one, Christopher, no worries. If you're currently
no
watching
problem.
on YouTube, then do make sure to take a look at the bottom of the screen where we do have the rest of our social media, including the Patreon, and more details on that in just a bit.
And of course, if you are listening in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, relevant once again, and other podcasting platforms, you will have all of that information in the respective descriptions.
That's correct. And now, going back to the whole Patreon ordeal, again, we would like to thank all of our patrons right now, actually, since we are doing this episode now. So I think I remember them right off the bat. So we got Omar Armani, we have C, so just the letter C. We have Maury, we have Luke. Thank you so much. Trevor and Rick's Rock. So thank you so much for supporting the Tech Summit channel and the Tech Summit podcast as a whole. And now just remember that everybody that's on the $5 and $10 tier, so tier 2 and tier 3s, you all are automatically entered for this month to be able to win this wonderful pair of stereo headphones with noise canceling and a carrying case. Next month, we are actually going to be doing the Stream Deck Mini, which we actually already have in the studio. So that's already been set and prepared. But just as a heads up, links to the Patreon is going to be down in the description, regardless of what platform you're using, in case you're interested.
Yes, that's right. Thank you very much for subscribing to the Patreon. Now, well, I guess elephant in the room real quick. Yes, this is another remote episode. Hush.
That's
Let's
good.
get started. So, according to 9 to 5 Mac, which itself is citing its own source of Nikkei, I believe it is pronounced Nikkei.
Hmm.
The next generation of Apple Silicon, tentatively dubbed M2, has entered the production cycle, with them expected to be available for mass availability around July. Now, the end result to this is that it goes hand in hand with the rumors of new MacBooks being announced in the autumn. And so it goes without saying that more than likely these new MacBooks would be using this M2 architecture.
Wow. So,
Now,
yeah.
oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
So like I was just going to say that now, uh, if if that is indeed true, that the M2 chips are going to be coming out, well, at least announced sometime in the summer to then be released with possible upcoming MacBooks in the fall or autumn, then it does kind of help shed a lot more light as to why Apple ended up putting the M1 chips on the iPad Pros, considering that they've been using mobile chips this entire time. Now they're going to be using the same chip that, well, you've got the M1 13-inch MacBook Pro and the M1 13-inch MacBook Air from last year. So I do think that now, like now it all makes a lot more sense. It is because they are planning on making the next batch of laptops more powerful with the M2 chips.
That is correct. And on top of that, there also seems to be quite a few things that they want to sort of uh, fix, I suppose, because as much as the M1 chips seem to have been relatively positively received and seem to be very power efficient and built with full raw power, which I want to talk about that in a little bit. It just seems like there are a few drawbacks, namely that M1 chips only supported up to two Thunderbolt ports,
Really? S-
Thunderbolt lanes rather. Excuse me.
Okay. So that would actually make a lot more sense as to why they didn't have like a 15-inch version of well, like as to why they didn't have the M1 chip on the 15-inch laptops, because those have always had four Thunderbolt 3 ports, even though now the standard is going to be Thunderbolt 4, or at the very least, I'm not sure when that started necessarily. But like another interesting piece of information, in fact, and I think it's something that we did look past last time, is that the new iPads are going to have a Thunderbolt 4 port. Like, it's not just going to be
Really.
USB-C, it's going to be Thunderbolt 4 as well, which is hilariously fantastic. But yeah, like now that makes a lot of sense as to why they did not put the M1 chips on the 15-inch models. And I don't think that they had it for like the higher end 13-inch variants of the MacBook Pro either, like the ones that in the past were the ones that required like a touch bar and like you had to pay extra for the extra ports and that kind of thing. So it is very interesting now to know the reason why.
Yes. So the rumor is that because M1 could only support, or there's a couple of drawbacks. Again, there's the Thunderbolt lanes. There was only two of them that were on the M1. On top of that, it also only had support for one external display, which is kind of a big deal if you're a professional user.
Yeah.
So the reported rumors, and Bloomberg had already reported last year that Apple was developing a successor to the M1 with 20 cores as opposed to 8. That's another thing worth noting.
Oh, geez.
Just gonna casually drop that by the, out of nowhere.
Ah, so that's what it was, huh?
Yeah, 20 cores for higher end laptops, specifically I'm guessing the MacBook Pro. Um, but the rumor basically comes down to, or at least a summary of all of the rumors
Yeah.
for the M2 chips would be 20 cores, up to at least 4 Thunderbolt lanes, and at least 2 external displays possibly supported, which
Okay. Still sounds like they've got a ways to go with that. I didn't know that the M1 could only support one external display. So it's interesting to see that this M2 model is possibly only going to be able to support two more displays in total. So that's just I don't know, like, it's a little bit puzzling. I wonder why it's so difficult to be able to run more than that. Like, I don't think it would be restricted to the operating system whatsoever. I think it is just like a hardware limitation, correct?
it feels like it would be entirely hardware related. Like, it doesn't sound necessarily like it's a software thing. It sounds more like the hardware isn't supporting more lanes and ports,
Mm-hmm.
and so they have to create new hardware to support that. Granted, you can argue that they should not have done an M1 if they weren't ready to have that kind of stuff. That maybe the M1 should have been what the M2 actually is, but
It would have
I don't know.
devalued the new MacBooks then a bit, if that had been the case, I think. Because at the end of the day, on like on these MacBooks that do actually run Mac OS, you can use your desktop applications and that kind of thing. And if you have the iPad Pro being just as powerful as that, or even potentially more efficient at doing the same types of tasks or similar, I should say, such as using LumaFusion instead of Final Cut and that kind of thing, then it does take away some of that value proposition from the MacBook. So I
Oh,
think
I
that's
mean,
why they held it back.
what I mean is that you don't do an M1 like the M1 that we got last year.
Hmm.
Don't do it because it's not ready yet. Just wait until this year and release the M2 as the M1, and just be like, "Here we go, we're starting."
Oh,
Because the limitations that the M1 does seem to have sounds like a half-baked, half-assed, like, "Let's just get it out the door quickly so we can have our own silicone." And it's like,
mm. The
could
M1,
have spent a little bit more time in the oven maybe?
yeah, the M1 certainly did feel like a beta test, which is why I was so skeptical about it last year when we were talking about it. But it seems like it has actually been doing pretty well. It mostly just does more to lock you in that ecosystem, but the M1 chips have also been very good, like when it comes to preserving battery life and that sorts of stuff.
Yes.
I imagine that the M2 would likely do a better job at that. So like I do see what you're saying. Companies do at times run beta tests like this. I'm calling it a beta test, but I'm not exactly sure what it is that a company would, would call it. I know that if it were like you, like just like going into the car shop to buy a car, you probably just call it a test drive. So I guess that's kind of what I'm going with.
The test run sounds about right.
A test run.
So
Okay.
you mentioned the power efficiency and the battery life stuff, and that's why I'm kind of interested now because I didn't necessarily know about just how much power efficiency the M1 chips did have, and that does make me very curious about how well the iPad Pro will do with my 3D apps, for example, because Forager in particular apparently has a bit of a reputation of being a battery hog, and
Hmm.
if it turns out that the battery life is significantly better on the iPad Pro than it would be on, say, a previous model like the 4th gen iPad Air, then surely I gotta go for the iPad Pro now, don't I?
Right. Yeah. Um. So like that, I think that we are going to be seeing a lot of great battery life improvements on both ends. Uh, because last time we were just using iOS chips, which were pretty efficient, but now with the M1 chips, with the MacBooks, I want to say that they had a pretty substantial increase in battery life, at the very least, when it comes to watch time and productivity. Like it just increased exponentially. Like these devices for most people pretty much became all day devices, right? Uh, but now, since we do have that differentiation between M1 and M2, I doubt that the battery improvements are going to be that significant. But I'm sure that the M2 is probably going to have better battery. It's more so,
Right.
in my opinion at least, what I think is going to happen is just that the M2 is really mostly going to be focused on just being a performance bump and probably to say, hey, now there is a lot more software that is compatible with our chipset in our operating system.
Right. I get that, and it's all very interesting stuff. I know you and I both mentioned sort of skepticism when Apple started talking about making their own silicone,
Hmm.
but it seems like they're on the right track. Again, they probably should not have released the M1 if it wasn't going to be fully like featured as far as like hardware is concerned.
Yeah.
But Apple's got an Apple, I guess. So
Right. Yeah. I guess you just gotta take one bite at a time. Am I right? Oh, that was loud. let me just,
uh,
let me just do it again. There we go.
it wasn't too loud to me, I guess. But
Oh, it was extremely for me. I almost died from that, in fact. But, but,
so
yes,
now all of this is again being put. It's a network of rumors. It's a network of rumors.
yes.
There's a timeline where last year Bloomberg reports that Apple's working on a successor. Now we have rumors that M2 exists and is being worked on. And then before this, we also had rumors of the announcements of 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro models for the autumn, with the return of MagSafe, an SD card reader, and HDMI ports, alongside what would presumably now be an M2 card chip.
I can't help but to laugh at that. I think if it ends up happening, like MacBooks actually getting back their HDMI ports and stuff, that would be pretty hilarious.
I didn't even know they went away.
No, they did. Like all that they had left besides those USB-C Thunderbolt 3 hybrids were just was just a headphone jack, which I mean, thank the Lord for that one. Um, but like now the fact that we could possibly be getting those back is pretty funny, if you ask me, because that like now they're kind of backtracking on their oh you only need one port to do everything kind of fiasco that they had going on 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when the 2016 MacBook Pros were introduced with a touch bar and a new redesign and things like that. However, since you did mention 14-inch MacBook Pro and 16-inch MacBook Pro, the 16-inch MacBook Pro did end up happening, so we did end up getting that. I'm not too sure about a 14-inch MacBook Pro. I don't think that's out yet, but I could totally be wrong on
Of
that
course, I
one.
mean these rumors are of these things coming out in the fall, so it's like new models, I suppose.
I see. I mean, the 16-inch
Um,
is already out. Like that already does exist,
it's
but
probably going to be an updated 16-inch. I'm guessing like a new model with the M2 chip.
M2 Pro maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm actually checking out Apple's website right now, like just to be sure, and there is not a 14-inch MacBook Pro, so I was right.
I'm on it right now, mostly because 'cause I'm just browsing the iPad Pro because it's like I seriously actually have to think about it.
Yeah.
Even though I just realized that there is the possibility that Forager and the other 3D apps end up not being M1 compatible yet.
No, no way. Apple's not gonna do that, right?
I don't know. I mean,
Uh,
again, those 3D apps are not, like, considered essential apps the same way something like Procreate might be.
right, and like
It
the
might be
Affinity
lower on the
Suite.
totem pole of priorities.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be happening. I guess that the ones that would have to optimize the software would have to be the folks that made Forger. So yeah, it is definitely worth keeping a strong eye on that to see if it'll make
I
sense to do.
will. I have, like, a month or so to find these things out, because the iPad Pro does launch in this, like, around the 2nd or 3rd week of May, I believe is what they said it was,
Yeah, on
or
the
the 2nd
website it
half of
says the
May.
second half. Yeah.
2nd half, okay.
Hmm.
So there is some time, more than likely by June, I'll know what exactly the deal is and,
Hmm.
if I can actually use it or not.
Yeah. Well, oh, okay. So like you're basically giving yourself 2 months ish, like a month and a half to decide.
I'm also giving myself that time so I can determine that I have in fact earned it. It's
Right, right, yeah.
like, yes, you have earned this iPad. You can now spend the money on it because it's a lot of money. I need to make sure that I deserve it or something.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do some censoring on this one, considering that you forgot this is not the bonus episode.
Oh no!
You have been such a good
Oh
boy up until
no!
now.
You can hear that kind of word uncensored on the bonus episodes exclusive to Patreon subscribers starting at tier 2 and up, guys. Subscribe to
Yeah,
the Patreon.
yeah, guys. If you want to hear these battle words uncensored, Jesus, what a marketing ploy that was.
I'm gonna turn this around.
To turn it into a good situation. You know what? I'm right there with you.
I'm
Uh,
giving you that teaser trailer.
da-da-da-da-dun. So that's what it sounds like, but you can't actually hear the words until you get there.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Now,
Um,
yes.
okay, so I'm just also checking here. When it comes to the iPad Pro, I also noticed the iPad Pro does not have any funky color options. It's just silver and space gray.
Yeah, they gave it all to the IMAX. I don't know why. That seems like the strangest decision.
It does, because I do feel like most people who do get an iMac are not going to go for any of the colors. I feel like most of them are just going to go with the silver, the space gray whenever it's available,
Well,
or for whatever model it'll end up being available for, I suppose.
well, I do see people still going for these models, these other colored models, but it just would have made more sense on the iPad line. I
I
don't know.
would. I would go for it, but then I always have people asking me, "Why would you do that?" So
I can see you
I feel like
getting.
I'm in the minority here. Most people would just go for the sleek. Like, if you're in an office, if
Mhm.
you're in a standard, typical, boring office, you're not going to have those flashy colors. You're going to have your silver or your space gray.
Well, I don't know, because if you work at a Nickelodeon office, and I can definitely see that orange suiting those offices pretty well. It'd be weird if
Sure.
they didn't have them. And you, I can actually see you getting the yellow one.
No.
No?
No, I hate yellow.
Oh, really? Okay. So which
Yeah,
color do you
no.
prefer?
Let me just check the colors again right now. I really don't like yellow as a it's like probably my least favorite color, honestly.
That surprises me a bit,
Let's see.
actually.
Really? I don't know why you thought I liked yellow. I don't think I've ever really worn a lot of yellow.
But I think you have in the, yeah, like a yellow shirt. I just remember you wearing that, and I just remember, huh, that color seems to suit him pretty well. I think so.
That offends me. I also never dyed my hair blonde. Like I could just bleach it blonde and leave it like that, but
Mm.
I never did that. People who are listening to this sound are probably gonna be very confused. I used to dye my hair before we started the podcast, and I might go back to it eventually. I'm just on hiatus. I'd
On a
probably
hiatus
go with
from
the
that.
blue or the green.
The blue or the
I
green?
actually like the green quite a bit, yeah.
Let's see. I
Because
would.
like an Oasis green on the back and sides, and then the front's almost like a seafoam.
Hmm. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, like it does. The green does look nice. It does look more minty from the front, and then like on the sides, it does like I do like that kind of chrome look on the sides of.
Yeah, if I had to, it would yeah, I think I'd easily go with the green. Blue and purple are alternative options, but I think green would be my first choice.
I see. Man, sadly there is no
It is gonna
space gray option here. It's the one
again,
color
that's
they
probably gonna be for
neglected.
the iMac Pro. Um, I also find it kind of interesting that with all of these color options, there is no rose gold.
I mean, that's pretty much the. Oh no, wait. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're
They
absolutely
tend
right.
to go with rose gold, and there isn't one. With all these color options, you think it would be.
Well, actually, the red one, quote unquote, is labeled here as being pink. So that might just be the rose gold that you're looking for. So it's not really
Which
a
one?
product red. It's the pink one. Like the one that looks red is actually
Y
labeled as pink because on the
that
front is
what
like
that oh,
pink.
what? That's labeled pink? No
Yeah.
way. I thought that was just red.
No, no. Only the corners are red. Like that's so deceiving.
The back is red.
Uh-huh. And the sides are red, but the front and the base are pink. Like rose gold pink.
Okay, but then it's not fully pink. There's a lot of red.
But on the front, it's mostly pink. Like that's what you're going to be looking at 24/7.
Okay, but when someone comes into your office and being like, "What you doing?" They're gonna see red.
Well, it depends on how you have your office set up, or if you have to be like, would you mind just coming around real quick to look at this one thing on my screen? Then they're just gonna see pink, and they're not going to be quite as impressed anymore.
Quick quick question,
Yes.
because I'm looking at the iMac now.
What's up?
Does the mouse still not have a middle mouse button?
Uh, I don't think it does because they are still sticking
No,
with it
does the
with
mouse
Magic
still not have a
Mice.
middle mouse button? Like a scroll wheel?
Oh no, no, it does not. Like it pretty much operates over like touch gestures on it.
That's insane because, like of course, the iMac and, Apple products as a whole, they're usually considered like, "Oh, this is for the professional people," artists use these things, and that
Hmm.
includes 3D artists. But, like, speaking as someone who uses Maya, there's a lot of reliance on the middle mouse button. I don't know how
Yes.
you use Maya without the middle mouse button.
Well, you just don't use the Magic Mouse. A lot of professionals don't use the Magic Mouse because a lot of people agree that it is just a very poorly designed product. Because I mean, I don't know if you knew this, but for a long time, and I think that this is still the case with these, um, the Magic Mice had their charging port at the bottom of the mouse. So you couldn't
Really?
use the mouse while you charged it.
That is
Like
insane.
try to picture that, and I'm pretty sure that that design cue is still sticking here. I can try and look a little bit deeper onto this because I myself am curious, but I do not see a charging. Oh no! Oh
Oh?
oh no! It looks like it does still have it on the bottom. Oh.
Oh.
That is a very poor decision on their end. I don't know why they would do that.
It's honestly insanity because they do position these things as often professional things. I know Mac Pro still kind of exists for
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
but it's like, this is not something that you would do if you're trying to market yourself towards professionals, and I don't see how you market these things towards casual people because most of those casual people are they just gonna go with a pre-built Windows or go with, like, a MacBook Air or something or an iPad. They're not gonna go with the iMac.
I mean, a lot of uh older households, I would say, do still like their little iMacs and their little Mac Minis and things like that, like the cheaper Macs. You know, like just the
Older
ones that are
households,
easy.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. That's my argument there. And also, some graphic designers could very well opt in for this too. Uh, just because, like this is going to be the new iMac, and maybe they want to work on the desktop, and the Mac Pro might be out of their reach. I think that the iMac is so going to do them a lot of good.
Really?
Yeah. Though, of course, that is just one man's take on the situation.
I suppose so. I'm just looking at this. I guess I'm just looking at this as blossoming professional. I'm just thinking, why? Why would I?
Yeah. However,
But I'm also kind of a cheapskate, so
you're justified in that, though, I would say, for the most part. However, we do have still another bit of news, and it's mostly just kind of a reminder, actually.
yeah,
Re
this is gonna be a very quick one, I feel.
yeah.
So, according to the FPS preview, which once again is citing its own sources, we'll get to that in a moment. There is a rumored announcement now that the RTX 3080 Ti will be announced on May 18th.
Announced, not released. Just,
Not
uh,
released,
just an
announced.
FYI. Yeah.
So this is specifically according to a non-public forum post on Chinese hardware site Espreview. Espreview.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's no S there, so it's not like Express View. It's just there's no S.
Oh, that's so weird.
Extremely.
Yeah, but oh well.
In any case, but that post claims that the 3080 Ti will be announced on May 18th, with the first reviews being published on May 25th, the following week.
Hmm.
Now,
Interesting.
this lines up with a previous report slash rumor about the card launching on May 26th. So that would be a day after reviews are published.
Huh. Interesting.
So this is not the first person or source to be like, this is the time frame. It seems like there's two of them now at least.
Yeah, like it's happened a couple of times already. And like we said earlier, it is about time that we start seeing those RTX 3080 Ti cards because like they've been rumored to be coming out for quite some time. I mean, we've been hearing rumors about it actually since last year, saying, "Hey, we should be seeing these in January alongside the 3060 Ti." We only saw the 3060 Ti. No, no, we saw the 3060, not the 3060 Ti. The 3060 Ti was released last year still, but like in January, I think that's when we saw the 3060. And we've been expecting something out of that for a while with the RTX 3080 Ti, especially considering the crazy drought that exists right now with current graphics cards 3080, 3070, 3060, 3060 Ti, and 3090 alike. People are going to be happy. People are going to be happy to see this, but they're also going to be pissed 2 seconds later when they can't buy it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this is a great looking card. It's supposed to be bridging the gap between the 3080 and the 3090
Hmm.
for like a significantly lesser cost. Like this is a great looking card, and I'd be extremely excited for people who are able to get their hands on it. The problem is just that no one's going to get their hands on it. Back on the merry-go-round again, we're going to be talking about scalpers, and that's just kind of the inevitability
Yeah.
again.
Hang on. I do have that switch somewhere, and
It's the green one.
oh, for the Nvidia shame corner.
Yes, it's NVIDIA green.
I see. I mean, we mentioned scalpers, so that's why I went
Ah, yes.
further. Yeah. See, so the realization came, and oh, okay. This time I did the
No,
wrong
we're
one.
not doing that today.
Yeah. There you go. That's what I meant to do. So the realization now of what is most likely going to end up happening coming May. There's just going to be a way bigger market for the 3080 Ti than what there was for the 3080 and 3090 and 3070 because now there are more and more people that want these upgrades, especially since enough time has passed since the release of the 3080 and company and friends. To now the 3080 Ti. I have a feeling this is going to be an absolute disaster when that day comes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be another bloodbath,
Yeah.
and it feels like there's not gonna be any winners in this instance because like I can't even recommend people go to Micro Center if Micro Center is gonna be price gouging them.
Yeah, exactly. That used to be our go-to. It's like, hey, go to Micro Center. You can only trust them to have stock every now and then.
I will note, I do want to note, that the other day I went to Micro Center with a friend,
Hmm.
and they have this big fat display screen sign saying, "We do not have, we do not have AMD CPUs. We do not have NVIDIA GPUs. We don't have AMD GPUs either, for the record. We do not know when we're getting our stock back." Big sign, bold, underline, red, all that stuff.
To make sure no one missed it.
And you still had some teenagers run up, cutting in front of us, and being like, "Do you have it?"
It's like, nah, they're just trying to lie to the dumb ones. Hey, excuse me. I know you're hiding one under that desk. Can I buy it?
They ran in there rushing. It sounds like if I guess it felt like they were in some sort of weird rush to get in and see if they have it, even though there was nothing about a launch that I heard of, and if there was one, it was way too late for them because we were there at like 11. So like,
No, yeah, like those things would usually sell out probably within 10 minutes of the store opening, no?
I give it first half hour because they keep things pretty orderly and organized.
Okay, I see. Ah, well, fair enough. There's that.
Yeah, I give it a half hour.
So, RTX 3080 Ti coming up, possibly, in May.
Reportedly being announced
Yes,
May 18th. Yeah, and then coming out
mhm,
in the second half of May.
yes.
Hmm.
So,
Everything's coming out in the second half of May.
yeah, right? All of the important stuff is happening on the second half of May. But with that said, I just wanted to say, thanks to all of you for jumping into today's episode of the Tech Summit podcast. It has been a blast discussing Apple after we haven't really done so often for quite a while. It's mostly just been GPU stuff, but it looks like we're taking a good turn here to other tech topics. But we, like always,
And
ended up reverting back to the RTX card. So,
I feel like Apple is going to be a more frequent subject just because I guess if nothing else, I'm in the prowl for an iPad, so like it'll be a frequent subject. It's Chris's iPad
mhm,
quests.
yeah.
What is he getting? What all that? And we're gonna discuss this stuff quite a bit. I
Y-
feel like.
yes, we will be keeping all of you posted, of course, throughout his journey. And another thing to keep in mind is that I am also on the market for the 12-inch one, but I'm gonna be trading in my 11-inch for that. So like
Mm.
it should come out a bit cheaper than expected. However, with all of that aside, thank you so much for coming. If you're a patron, thank you so much for being a patron. And social media is going to be right down here at the bottom in the description as well. You're going to be finding those depending on what platform you're listening to. But with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit,
And Chris.
and we will be seeing you all on the next episode for episode 47. Enjoy.
Good night. Travel well.